time to heal and feel, be real. You just gotta take your time, unwind and chill. Cause now it's time to love yourself. Build emotional and mental health. Cause Black woman, it's time to heal and feel, be real.
Hey y'all, we are back with another episode of Black Woman Healing Podcast. We hope you enjoyed your holiday if you partake in holidays. So, in honor of holiday season, I'm going to kick us, in addition to our guests, off with a this or that related to the holidays. But we're going to talk about food dishes. So, my family's into greens for food dishes, but I've been seeing a lot of string beans, which has been a little bit confusing for me. So, I'm curious, do y'all do greens or string beans? And like, what is your relationship with the greens versus string beans? That's one this or that. And then the other one is for the starch. So, does your family do like a cornbread or do they do like a dinner roll? Because I've also been seeing that, and the dinner roll has been like confusing me a little bit because my family, we don't do dinner rolls. That's not our thing. So, yeah, the vegetable and then the starch. I'm curious, y'all do string beans or greens? Or spinach I've been seeing too, which also has been confusing me. And then y'all faces are hilarious. Do y'all do bread rolls or cornbread? Because I've never seen the bread rolls until I just seen them the other day. So, Danica, what does your family do?
Okay, so my family does greens. You might see green beans sometimes, but or you might see both. That's the like in my family they're gonna do it all. Like you're gonna get everything, but definitely greens. That's the main thing. You're gonna see some greens, and sometimes you'll see the mix. So the mix might be mustards, collards, like a few different, not just straight collards. So you'll see the mix, and then as far as the starch, you're gonna see both again. You're gonna see the rolls and you're gonna see the cornbread. You never know. I'm telling you, you gonna it's a feast. Yeah, it's a feast. But I will say again, if it's chosen, like if it's between a roll and the cornbread or stuffing or whatever, you probably will get the cornbread. Nah, you're gonna get both. I'm not even. You're gonna get both. You're gonna see a roll. I don't know if they're gonna be homemade. They might be like the little store bought
Nine
ones, but
rolls.
you gonna see a roll too. Like I don't know.
Wait,
What
wait,
about
wait. So then,
okay?
no, I gotta ask. So then, for dessert, are y'all doing like a sweet potato pie? Or are y'all doing pecan pie? Or are your family doing both?
We doing all type of stuff, girl. Strawberry cheesecake, lemon pie,
Huh?
chest yes, chest pie. My granny does
What is a chess pie?
you gotta ask my granny. I don't really eat too many of the pies. I'm not, it's too at that point it's too much. Like that's my granny, she'll make whole pies. Everybody get their own pies, several pies to go. Yeah, it's serious. Like yeah, it's all types of things, girl. You
Yep,
never
girl.
know, but you're not getting one. We're not getting one pie. It's all of
And
those.
your grandma cooks all this by herself? Y'all don't help her?
Well, on one side, I have two sides.
Okay.
So the one side, the one who makes the most like cakes and stuff. She does cook everything by herself. When I'm at home, I'll be like, "Let me help you out." She'll let us help a little bit, but she's definitely one of those grannies that's like, she likes to do it. The other one, her and my grandfather, they make the cakes and pies and everything, and then everybody else brings. Everybody got their sides they bring. Like
Wow.
everybody know you the macaroni every year, you the whatever. So they don't do it all by themselves. But the one granny, she really do make all those pies and stuff.
Wow. That's crazy. Wow.
It is. It
Well,
is. Yeah. What about you? Because you asked this question, so we got to take it back to you real quick. What's going on?
yeah. So my family does greens. But they mix like the mustards, the turnips, the collards, all those things. Sometimes they'll mix in like some cabbage, but mainly like they just do like the greens. But in my partner's family, they did greens, but I saw they also did like string beans, and I was like, oh, this is different. And then they also did rolls, which I was like, I've never seen, but from scratch. And I've never seen that before. My family's used to doing like the cornbread. And then for the pies, we actually don't do pie because my aunt makes jello mold, which like I had never heard of until my aunt introduced it to us. So that's like our thing, which like we go crazy over this jello mold. She makes like 3 pans of it, like huge pans, because we
What
eat
is
so
that?
She won't tell us. I don't know. I just know
Guacamole?
Jello mo. It sounds disgusting, but
It sounds nasty.
it sounds so nasty. But when you look at it, you're
Mhm.
like, oh, this kind of it looks okay. But once you eat it, like it's Jello with layers of things. But girl, it's good. We fighting over it. Literally, she hides it from us. That's how like we be going crazy over it. Like she'll be like, I will make your bowl of Jello mo. You're not making it. That's how bad it is. Yeah.
Oh my god. And Kevito, let's get in on the
Yeah, get
conversation.
your faces. We gotta know.
So, thanks for having me on, everybody. My situation is a little bit different. I am neither partnered nor do I have a very connected family. I have a found family. And so, since moving to LA, what I've been introduced to is a mixture of beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, all of the above. And I think dessert wise, I don't know if there's like a rule of thumb, but no one brings any apple pie. It's usually like sweet potato pie. You might get a little crumble. Um,
Mm.
I personally cook. I'm a really great cook. And so this year, for our organization's second anniversary, I'm doing as a thank you I'm just chefing everything. So I'm making this Tuscan sunset ravioli, this baked salmon dish. It's not really in alignment with the whole foods giving vibe, but it's still great food. What else? Uh, red garlic mashed potatoes. Um, these mini cornbread served with hot honey and vegan butter. Like
Mm.
that's all on the menu right now. There's a couple other
Mm.
things, but it's just escaping me. But I love food, so you guys are
Yeah.
best friends right now.
Yeah. Those all sounded so comforting as you were like talking about them. My mouth. Oh my gosh. I was literally like, whoa. These are things that I can imagine myself eating, but like just thinking about like the feeling that they give and like the flavors. Whew, that sounds like a
Mhm.
Friendsgiving to me. Anything that makes you feel good.
I should do one of those like ASMRs reading
Yeah.
recipes. Like add 2 tablespoons of cinnamon if you want this confection to come out well. You know.
See?
Yes. Yes. Well, as y'all hear, we do have a special guest. This is our third time having a male on the podcast. We're trying to, amp it up a little bit and do something a little bit different. So I'll hand it over to Danica to introduce our guest.
Yes, absolutely. So, as you all can see, we have an amazing guest who just participated in our This or That. Our guest today is Kevito Clark. He is the founder of Love, Peace, and Games, Play It Forward, a 501c3 that facilitates free and donation based community programming throughout Los Angeles. Love, Peace, and Spades answers the calling for the increased need for third spaces that promote health, wellness, and the preservation of Black family heirlooms such as Spades, Tonk, Bidwiz, Dominoes. Love, Peace, and Spades has served as a hush harbor, hosting over 7,000 attendees in less than 2 years, and has gone on to be recognized in the LA Times, Travel Weekly, Fox 11, KCAL News, and more. Alongside Rita Hawk, Director of Business and Partnerships, Rob Ford, Creative Tech Officer, and his advisor board, Kevito, has successfully created a hush harbor for intergenerational communion and education through gameplay by forming relationships with local Black-owned businesses, educators, game designers, and more. Woo, let's give it up for Kevito.
Let's go. Top three, not three in the building. How you guys doing? Thanks
Right?
for having me on.
Thank you so much. So we're going to jump right into it. Love, Peace, and Spades. What does this mean to you?
So love, peace, and spades means to me a opportunity to address an issue within the Black community where we already have so many things that we have to counteract in the country that we live in. But specifically, when it comes to leisure and play, we can't have a cookout without someone wanting to be a Karen. We can't congregate more than 2 or 3 at a time without someone wondering what we're up to. And so, in alignment with the game of spades and these other Black family heirlooms, as we like to call it, this was an opportunity to create something for the community that I'm a part of and wanting to have something that lasts beyond me.
Hey, listeners, in celebration of their 30th anniversary, the California Black Women's Health Project is launching the 12 Days of Wellness campaign starting December 1st. This movement is all about promoting mental health and wellness for Black women, girls, and families during the post-election and holiday season, while raising crucial funds to provide impactful health resources and programs. Each day features empowering activities based on the 12 commandments of good mental health, designed to inspire self-care, reflection, and connection. The campaign will feature exciting giveaways, encouragement from powerful Black women, and events that include discussions on topics related to mental health, reparatory justice, boundaries, and more. Would you like to get involved? Go ahead and visit cabwhp.org/12 days or follow California Black Women's Health Project at cabwhp on Instagram.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that we need more spaces. And then thinking of that black piece, that black family piece, right? Something we heard in your bio was Hush Harbor. What is that? What is that?
So we're in this time where a lot of people use phrases like safe space, safer space, and I think that this is a hush harbor specifically is a throwback term to when during enslaved periods in this country, uh, Black
Mhm.
folks they would create their own space, typically called a hush harbor, to practice religion, practice family gatherings, just things amongst themselves away from the view of the slave master. And so, in alignment with what the terms are today, we wanted to specifically say that when you come to a Love, Peace, and Spades event, you're not being othered. You're not having to worry about the view of
Mhm.
antagonistic gaze upon you and how you play.
Wow.
I know
Wow.
it's very serious, but ideally, it's
No.
just one of those phrases that kind of says that this is a place where all players are welcome to enjoy themselves, but just know, don't throw that big joker down too heavy. The rest of the family might turn around, and we don't want a GNX situation.
Yeah. So it makes me wonder then, like, because you had mentioned that you are new to LA, well, kind of new, but not new at the same time. What
Mhm.
was that experience like for you coming from where you came from and then here starting this community and it being something that's so sacred and so communal?
I've been truly blessed and fortunate to have friends who are from here, found family who are from here. And prior to moving here, I would come and help organize the Leimert Park Juneteenth Festival. So I had a bit of a footprint in a cherished neighborhood, historic neighborhood. And so um, people from that community help enrich this idea and put me in positions to win. So I was able to meet with Jenny Wright at the Line Hotel, which is where we have our residency at, and coming up with I guess some idea of how I wanted this to impact the community. They were the people who helped to make me feel comfortable with reaching out to local businesses like the Salt Eaters Bookshop and South LA Wine Club, Plant Plug, and the Plant Chica Walk Good, to kind of further the relationships that have been able to benefit us as we enter into our second year
Yes, that is
or close out our
beautiful.
second.
And I love the people that you're shouting out and also like giving, the credit to. That's so powerful in community. And as we're thinking about what love, peace, and spades means to you, how has that meaning evolved like throughout your life from a child till now and just in like different phases of your life?
That's a really good question. Um, I mentioned before, like I come from a very disjointed, disconnected family. Like we don't do some of the traditional things that most Black families would do, like sit at the dinner table together or have family reunions or go to Big Mama's house and just lay up under her and listen to stories from back in the day. And so the few moments of intersectionality where I was able to get some culture that wasn't manufactured from others and I had to be engaged with myself was rooted in spades. And so my uncle taught me how to play when I was a little kid, and that moment still forever sticks with me because now fast forward umpteen years, it's like I can count on two hands and 2 feet when's the last time we actually spoke. Um, when I got into college, that was the thing where all the Black people in my school kind of played, and we would go to people's houses and we would play at the lunch table. That was like our daily routine, and you have people who would have scoreboards bringing with them after they went to their class just so they know who beat who from the last night or whenever we last engaged. And when I moved to New York, I tried to bring that same energy, and I learned like there was some stigmas still attached to it. Some people didn't know how to play and felt uncomfortable sharing that with others because, for the serious spades players, you're not really considered black if you don't know how to play. For those who did play but felt uneasy because of how serious people play, you have to be worried about if someone's going to flip a table over on you. So they would be reluctant to kind of join the fray because they didn't know how people were going to react. And then you had others who might have had different backgrounds or difficult backgrounds. And so when you have that trash talk at the table, that might be a little bit triggering unbeknownst to everybody else sitting with you. And so when I moved to LA, that was amplified, specifically because Black LA is very interconnected. Like I find out like a lot of people know each other, and the difference between LA and New York is like I could be a nurse but not know anybody who's a community organizer. And here, that's not like that. Like my cousin is somebody who works at Paramount, but my brother is working at Cedar Sinai. And 9 times out of 10, if you went to a certain high school, you really know everybody. So to have that same problem or same obstacle and then enlarged by the fact that we're just all trying to find something to do post-pandemic, Love, Peace, and Spades turned into a balm to be able to like enrich people's experience. Like we even had somebody, two persons who came together as strangers because one of our event rundowns is like if you come to Love, Peace, and Spades and don't have a partner, you can be matched with a partner. And so these two persons had no partner, but they were matched together, and they hit it off very well, so well that like they ended up getting engaged to be married like 4 months after. And this past November 12th, they celebrated their first year of wedding, their first wedding anniversary. So that was like one of the beautiful stories that came out of this whole thing. And we have a lot of more that came throughout these past 2 years now, but that's one that just sticks with me because it was such a surprise.
Yes, that is beautiful. And, now my memory is jogged because I'm from LA, I'm from Inglewood. And so I just moved back like a year ago. I was living in San Diego like 10 years. And I saw somebody post that they were at Love, Peace, and Spades. But then I was so focused on I knew so many people in the video. And I was like, what am I looking at? And now you just jogged my memory. And now it's making me feel like, I need to come and check it out just for like the communal piece of it all. Like I feel like finding community as an adult is such an interesting experience. So y'all who are also listening to this, I think that story of the two people not having a partner kind of it speaks a lot to these events because you can come, you never know who you're going to meet. You can meet your best friend, your partner, whatever. But I'm really thankful for that because I don't know how y'all experience is, but just like I said, making friends as an adult it's real interesting. It's very interesting.
It's so interesting. I think someone needs to do a little docuseries about it.
Yes.
Finding Black adult friends is an exercise in patience.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Especially as a parent. Especially as a parent.
That's a whole nother thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am curious about this piece, especially when it comes to not just spades, but all the card games, all the games in general, especially with Black community. And it can get a little rowdy, right? Like you're saying, sometimes people might flip over a table or it might get too serious to the point of like, this is no longer fun, maybe. What do you all do for that? Like, is there like a breakdown? Like, okay, y'all, we here to have fun. Like, has that happened where somebody has been like, boom, and y'all like, calm down. We just here love, peace, and space. Y'all love peace and space.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do y'all do?
Honestly, I think it's in the name. And Black folks, we come into the whole. We'll come into a room, or before we even get to an event, we'll be like, "Who's going to be there?" Right? So you kind of gauge your attendance on the energy before you step in. And with the name being Love, Peace, and Spades, it's kind of giving you the indication of what will and won't be tolerated. But we do have house rules in terms of engaging, and then Uh, our host Joshua Pinkay, he's really great at diffusing situations or pulling me into the fracas if there needs to be any questions answered. Like for instance, one time we had a brother come in, and there's this whole rule about how many books you take from somebody if someone reneges, right? And so reneging is like a whole faux pas in itself, because it's like you didn't try to get away with this, huh? You
Mm.
trying to really slip that extra card in there, huh? And he was kind of getting upset because the argument was either 3 or 4 books, and if he had lost any books, he would have lost. But I think he was just really trying to and emphasize the fact that like this is how we play in terms of
Mm.
all of us collectively. And so I told him, I was like, because he didn't know who he was sitting around, but there were two people who were sitting across to him who were the opponents, you would say, where they had just left from our Spades Academy, which is how we teach people how to play. And so they came to the last 3 events basically learning how to play, and they felt confident enough to leave from quote unquote the kiddies table to the big kids table. And now they got somebody getting mad at them for something that they're just trying to do through trial and error. And so without putting them on blast, I was like, well, you don't see anybody else really tripping about reneging, right? He's like, yeah, but I was like, yeah, we're not really stressed about it, but the rule would be 3 books. And so he's like, but in Detroit, this is how we play. And I was like, everybody's from everywhere right now. So consider this like a black Switzerland. You don't know who you're playing with. You don't know what their level of expertise is within the game. And we really want to keep any sort of wild and crazy times to a bare minimum. I do believe that trash talk is a love language, and it
Mm.
stems from the idea that we're all bringing something to the table that others don't know about. I might have had a bad day. Think about when we had our November event was the day after the elections.
Mm.
And so people came to the event with all this sort of energy, and you saw people laughing. You saw people kind of like hitting the card on the table a little bit harder than they used to. And at the end of that gathering, they were kind of relieved in the opportunity to kind of release some of that stress, release some of that energy. And I feel that that's also involved when you do the trash talking. Like there's this article written by this author. His name is Hanif Abdurraqib, and he's the one who coined that phrase, in my opinion. Trash talk is a love language, because he says, us around the table can say things to each other that we wouldn't accept other people to say. And in doing that, that shows how much trust and confidence I have in you, regardless of what we're doing in playing Spades or some of these other games. But I love you well enough to allow you to expel whatever all is on your heart through
Mm.
this game.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so many therapeutic pieces in it, and I love that you all have created a space where people get to be them, right? There are enough limitations to everything, but the fact that you welcome trash talking, right, and you're not taking away people's freedom of expression,
Mhm.
I think is pretty beautiful. And like you said, it is very interesting sometimes how people read spaces and energy. And so the fact that you all have created this space based off of love and peace, I think it shows proof of like that's what everybody's kind of leading with, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I
Wow.
mean, if you, I'm a big pop culture head, so there's this show that I was very, very late to called Shameless, and the 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 black character on the show, I forgot which season it was, but it was like deeper into the show series. She got invited to the cookout per se, and when she got there, she forgot how to do the electric slide, and her
Ooh.
mom was just roasting her, like, how do you look like me and not know how to do the electric slide? And so I think just what our gatherings offer is an opportunity for those who might feel like that. Like, oh, I didn't get a chance to play this as a kid, or I came from a household where card games weren't the thing. They were considered like betting or gambling, and that wasn't allowed. So I don't really have that same context. And we come together, and you can learn with our coaches. We have like 2 coaches specifically who have been consistent: Mark Ridgel and Yasmin Monet Watkins. They teach Spades and Bidwits respectively, And if Yasmin was here, she'd tell you that Bidwis is the father of spades. So I just wanted to let her know that that was said over the airwaves. Let everybody know Bidwis is the father of spades. But they come in from all over Los Angeles and Long Beach and Glendale for a couple of times there. I was confused, like, how far were you actually traveling to play games like that? They don't play spades in Glendale, but all these people come from all over the place to enjoy each other's company. And I think that, you know, now that we've crossed the threshold with this election, and I'm not trying to politicize it at all, but we're going to need each other and rely on each other more than ever before. And if we can't do that across spaces specifically designed for wellness and health, then we'll find ourselves a little bit more fractured than we would want to be.
Wow. You mentioned like your uncle teaching you how to play. I'm curious a little bit more about that, like how that even like happened and what that moment kind of meant for you.
Yeah, my people are from the South. They're from Louisiana, all over Louisiana. And so we had went down to visit my grandmother, and my uncle lives in Baton Rouge. And so their parents basically lived in the country. Morganza is kind of like a one railroad type of town with a Piggly Wiggly. And so we were getting away from that to kind of go to quote unquote civilization and went to Baton Rouge. And I'm like 9. And they're playing spades. All the adults are playing spades and they're talking. And my cousin Chris, at the time, he was the shortest relative in our family. Everybody else was kind of taller, even for being young. And so he was upset because one of our older cousins was making him feel bad about it. And I don't really get into, I had a very short temper as a kid, so I didn't want to like have to defend anybody. And so I went into the kitchen. I was looking over what people were doing. And my uncle pulled up a chair and said, "Here, let me learn you something." And taught me how to play. They played Joker, Joker, Deuce, like 2 of diamonds, 2 of spades, ace of spades. And so he wasn't the best educator. He's basically like, watch and you'll figure it out in a few hands. And surprisingly, or I guess not so surprisingly, it's a very mathematical type of game. So if you can kind of figure out what hasn't been played, you have an advantage. And so I watched about 2 or 3 hands. It was more so seeing all the trash talk amongst the elders that kind of made me excited about learning how to play. And so he let me actually throw out a few hands. He's like, "What do you think would win this book?" And, you know, there was no grace at the table. I'm going to tell you that straight up. Like, no one was wanting me to play. They had money on the table. You know, they had all this stuff going on. So they really didn't want me there. But my uncle was gracious enough to let me get a few hands in. And I was just, it's a lasting impression. It made an impression on me.
Does your uncle know about what you do now with spades, or is he still around? Like, I'm curious what that,
Yeah,
if you want to
everybody's
share.
still around. Everybody's still around, thankfully. But again, we're just not connected in a way where people have consistent conversations. I'm sure through the internet or something like that, God bless it, you know, they would know, but no one hasn't really outreached to me and be like, "See, I knew those lessons would work. I knew I was teaching you well. Look at you making spades into a thing," you know.
Wow. Okay.
I got
Yeah.
a question for y'all. So offline, we talked about like how you guys play, or if you do play, what is what is a green flag that you guys would want in a potential spades partner?
Hey, listeners, celebrate 30 years of California Black Women's Health Project with the 12 Days of Wellness campaign. Starting December 1st, each day features empowering mental health activities, giveaways, and events focused on mental health, self-care, reparatory justice, and more. Join the movement at cabwhp.org/12days or follow cabwhp on Instagram. This is a hard question.
I want to say immediately patience. um, because you said this earlier, and I was like, but people make mistakes, like the reneging piece. Like, it's not always on purpose, right? Of somebody being like, I'm about to try to slide this in or whatever. If you're not like, if this is not what you do and you don't understand it fully, you might do it and it's a mistake, like have some patience, or even just have patience in the sense of, in general, in the game, like, like let's just, because your energy is going to make me feel something. So if you're patient and you're confident, you cool, it's gonna make me feel that way. But if you like rah rah and like, then I'm gonna feel that way too, and I don't want to feel that way. So I'm gonna say patient.
Okay, I like that.
Okay. Well, maybe I'm not the partner for you. I like the rah rah, but I more so like it like hype me up. Cause again, like I'm just learning. And I feel like every time I play with people, I'm learning something new where I'm like, wait, what? So I feel like hyping me up, like you gotta be loud. Like I want the shit talking to be where it's like hyping me up. So that's a green flag
Right.
for me.
You want the ghetto cheerleader. You want somebody to be like,
Yes.
okay, but I
Exactly.
feel like that's the way they be trying to slip codes in. Like, okay, girl, I see you with that red card. I see you with that black card. Wink, wink,
Yes.
nudge, nudge. But it's still fun. I
Yes.
feel like one of the questions I ask people is, the same play to win considered talking across the table.
Mm.
Where like you got somebody and they're concerned, they're like, I don't know what I should be doing, or do I do this, or do
Mm.
I do that, and like they don't tell you, but they tell you without telling you, play to
Mm.
win, girl, play to
Yeah.
win. And then I always figure if that's someone just giving you a helpful hint, or if it's someone just speaking code, like if you got that big joker, you might as well play it right now.
Yes, yes. And Danica, as you shared, I'm thinking about Isaac, and Isaac is my partner. I've talked about him before. He is legally blind, but his family is really big on spades. So for them, I think that's where I kind of got it from. They got to have that patience, but they got to talk it through too because it helps him out a
Mhm.
little bit. And he likes that. And so I think that the marrying of your green flag and my green flag is what, like, if you see this man play, he be going crazy. And I'm thinking maybe I'll drop him off at one of y'all events so that way he can, make some more community and just like feel connected. But yeah, that was making me think about him.
Yeah, when we say all players welcome, we specifically mean all players, people who come
Yes,
from all walks of Black existence to come and play and enjoy fellowship with us.
I love that.
Yeah. What about you? You got to give that question right back to you. What's the green flag? 'Cause I need to know. Should I be looking at a different green flag because y'all do this? So what would you
Yeah.
say?
My brain is telling me imagination.
Mm.
So spades is kind of like you once you be able to count cards, I think like that changes the nature of the game. So imagination to me looks like a partner who can come up with variants to certain strategies. Like there's this rule of three, right? So like anytime a suit gets played outside of spades, it has up to like three times to walk across the table to win. And so there are these little shifts that happen where it throws that off. Let's say there's one more person here, and so me and Myra are partners, and you and your partner, Danica, doesn't have a lot of a suit, and so a heart gets played, and your partner throws out a club. First time we just started the game. What that would show is like I don't have any hearts, and so that to me is like an imaginative play. Now I know if I'm you and I have nothing but hearts, I'm just going to keep throwing out hearts because we're going to take over these books. And someone who can pick up on that innately without like having to hem and haw about it is probably a great space partner for me.
Hmm. Imagination. What a word. No, that I think that's really cool. Um, yeah, no, I think that I feel like you kind of talked about this, but I do want to give you the space if you want to add any more. Like in thinking of spades and how it shaped ideas around family, community, and love. I feel like we touched on this, but is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, I want to add just for the listeners, and again, thanks everybody for tuning in. We are now officially a 501c3. Um, Love, Peace, and Games is our organizational hub, which houses an educational initiative. When you come to our Love, Peace, and Spades events, part of our goal is to offer a survey because there's just a lot of conversations that's being had around games in general. You can see new game nights popping up here in the city. And I think to kind of zero in on that for us, specifically with Spades, the history of it needs to be explored. And there's been some beautiful authors who have kind of chronicled its birth, but it's still just kind of like dated in the 19th century. So one of our goals with Love, Peace, and Games is to chronicle this as a Black family heirloom and kind of get perspective from our audience, from our players, as to how they learned how to play, who taught them how to shuffle. And I think those questions, once answered, kind of speaks to our community appeal, the way that we want to help build these because I think play is a wellness tool. So like to build access
Yeah.
to third spaces for play to happen. And in doing so, I think 2025 will be a watershed moment for us.
Yeah. And thank you for honoring the fact of heirlooms don't always have to be items. Like when I
Yeah.
think about heirlooms, my brain is going to jewelry, purses, houses, things like that, right? But to
Mhm.
think about something that's so deep rooted in our culture and history, to pass it on to you can do this thing, I feel like it's so powerful.
Yeah, there was this year I got a chance to teach spades during Black History Month at Cal State LA, and the associate professor there, he had shared a story with me about some of the Black students there. They host their own game night on campus, and he came in to check them out and saw people playing Roblox, people playing Fortnite, people playing Uno, all these games. And so he was like, "Where's Spades?" This was a room full of like 18 to 21-year-olds, and they actually fixed their mouth to say, "What is Spades?" And so he told me that, and I was
Yeesh.
like, "Oh man, what we're doing is right in alignment," because I wouldn't want another generation to come from underneath them and just be like, even worse. I don't know how to say what is Spades worse than what is Spades, but like just something that for us as a community we just need to have cherished. And again, this is like a wide-reaching tale about all the people who do it currently, specifically like the World Series of Spades or Black Spades or Game of Spades. There's like these organizations and companies who have their own black facing cards, deck card decks and stuff like that, to where we know that the game itself has a resurgence in a popular way. You can look at like The Blackening, which was a movie that came out a couple years ago, which had a kind of tie in to Spades, or one of my favorite shows, Insecure, where Issa Rae was like trying to hook up with somebody, but they were about to play Spades, and she's like, "Can somebody teach me?" And it's like, "Girl, ain't nobody gonna teach you," you know. So we see it happening where these things that we love and cherish are being put on the big stage, and so don't want to forget about those who don't have access to that. So I think Love, Peace, and Games is a great bridge to that.
Okay. Well, that was a really good episode. We went way over time, which we love. That says a lot. But we always make space for our guests to share if they have any takeaways for our listeners. And it could be anything. I mean, anniversary is coming up. So it's up to you, though.
Sure. Uh, as the date of this recording on December 4th, we'll be hosting our second anniversary at the Line Hotel, which is 3515 Wilshire in Normandy. We have our official Spades tournament, the Love, Peace, and Spades Invitational, where we give away prizes. We pride ourselves on also not doing cash prizes because that creates a whole other elephant in the room.
Mhm.
So most of these prizes are geared towards wellness and health. And in the new year for King Day, we'll have our event at the Line Hotel. Our events are every first Wednesday of the month. And so you can see us there every first Wednesday at the Line Hotel. But in the new year, we have some very big surprises, and we're excited to be able to share that with you all. And thank you again for having me on your show.
Of course, thank you. And thank you for bringing the good vibes. We appreciate it. And that is it for this week's episode of Black Woman Healing Podcast.